Hello, how are you doing? Tonight we're going to have a look at some cartridge sensing issues on a couple of XLs, and one of these XLs is the 600XL, which was featured a few weeks ago. Was in for some upgrades, and as you can see, it's got Ultimate 1 megabyte, well, Ultimate 1 megabytes off the board at the moment, VBXE and stereo poking. The keen-eyed among you will remember the various issues that we had with this one, primarily down to shorts on the U-switch board here, which were eventually resolved, and the machine went back to its owner and turned out not to work with cartridges, not to work with the cartridges that the owner actually tried with them. I had tested the thing with Uno cart, which is currently hooked up to my STM Link programmer for reasons of misadventure. No, I'm now an ARM developer, so if any of you out there want to pay me enormous amounts of money to develop ARM software, I'm the man. I'm your man. So yeah, just writing an alternative firmware for the Uno card, sort of an augmentation of what Robin's already done, because I certainly wouldn't have known where to start had it not been for his source code being available. So anyway, cartridge is not working with this board, and I was unlucky enough to try the one cartridge that did work, because Uno worked fine. Side worked fine when it was in hard disk mode, but then again it probably would, because it's the ROM's suppressed in hard disk mode anyway, and I probably completely forgot to try it with Ultimate Card, so that was a bit silly of me, but it did appear to work, and I had no reason to suppose that there would be any problem. So it came back, and I tried the Ultimate Cart, and sure enough, it boots up and just sort of hangs, or it boots to the self-test, and pretty much the same thing happens with the side cartridge as well. So clearly there is an issue. So what did I do? Well, since these Ultimate 1 megabyte boards all get the... well, that's a bit overexposed, isn't it? There we go. Since they all get the connectors swapped over when I get them, because I don't like the connectors that Atari puts on the board now, there's always a possibility that I screwed something up there. So I swapped the Ultimate 1 megabyte for a spare board. That didn't make any difference. I swapped the ribbon cables, which I have to shorten and rebuild because they're far too long, because they come in a generic length. And that didn't make any difference either. So we can rule out the Ultimate board, and we can rule out the cables, because swapping them doesn't make any difference. The machine still doesn't recognize a cartridge. I don't know if it now recognizes the Uno cartridge, because the Uno cart's got a different firmware, and I haven't flashed it back to the original yet, so we could do that later on if problems persist. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our schematic. Oh, I'm at the back. That's no good, is it? Order. There we go. I'll make myself a bit smaller. Okay. Should I be better off in the other corner? Oh, fuck, no. Right, alright then. So we're going to do some measurements anyway, and see what we can find. So we can see here we've got the cartridge connector, and we've got the MMU. Now the MMU is the first thing I investigated, because there was every likelihood that there was some sort of break in the cable or a short, but there isn't. But what I did find fairly quickly, if you want to see the meter as well, that would be useful. We just bring this to the front. You're not really going to see the meter, but what the hell. I'm sure I could arrange this a little bit better by, yeah, we could. Anyway, for now that'll do. I'll do some sort of mosaic arrangement later on. So I'll put the meter into, you won't be able to see the display, but you'll have to believe me. I'll read them out to you. Look for the RD4 and RD5 pins. Now the RD4 pin is pin 14, I think. I'm not sure of the numbering scheme anyway. And that should show up on pin 7 or 8. Now let's have a look. If we have a look at this is the MMU, so RD4 is on pin 7. So let's count along to pin 7 on the MMU. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's pin 7 of the MMU. And I believe that's supposed to go to, yeah, 14 is RD4, so 14 is RD5, so RD4 is actually this one. Right, so we get a continuity from RD4. RD5 is pin 8 on the MMU, and that should be on pin 14 of the cartridge connector. And we get continuity there as well. And I tested all the other connections and we get continuity to the MMU. But what I did notice, sort of by accident, we've got two, you can't really see these. We have two little vias here, and one, I think that one, the one on the left is RD4. I'm probably getting confused again with the numbering. RD4 goes to pin 14. Yes, RD4 here. And the one on the right is RD5. And we get continuity to these vias as well. Oh, hello Nia. How are you doing? So you get continuity on both these important lines which are to do with sensing cartridges. But what I accidentally noticed is that we get continuity on both of these vias on RD4. How can this be possible? So this was when the Ultimate 1 megabyte was still connected. So removing the Ultimate 1 megabyte and removing the cable did not eliminate this short, and the short, if we put this into resistance mode, and we'll see if it is a 0 ohm short, or 0.4 ohm short across RD4 and RD5. How can this be possible? It's not the cable, it's not the board. So let's have a look at the schematic again and see if we can trace where this could be a problem. Now what's not immediately apparent here from the schematic is that it would probably help if I put the mouse in see, I put the mouse over the preview window in Open Broadcaster thinking that that's where the mouse cursor is, but it's not, it's here. Here we go. Right, so this is what we've been measuring. RD4 on pin A and RD5 on pin 14 of the cartridge connector, going to pin 7 and 8 on the MMU. Now, as you can see from the schematic, these two should not be shorted together in any way, shape or form, but they are both pulled down to ground by a 1K resistor. Now, the only way that you could imagine a direct 0 ohm short between these two signals would be if both of these resistors had somehow become 0 ohm resistors magically. And resistors never fail by going to 0 ohms. I would imagine they probably fail by going open circuit. So the next thing we need to do is have a look on the board and figure out where these go. Now what I was saying is what's not immediately apparent from the schematic is that these two resistors are not between, these two resistors here, R1 and R2, are not between the MMU physically and the cartridge connector. They are somewhere else, and they take a rather circuitous journey. If we have a look at the board, so here are two well, actually, no, they're not. That was rubbish. That was just me being confused. I got confused with some other signals. The circuitous route that RD5 takes is to the back of the GTI chip down here. RD5 travels all the way down the board here and right the way across there. So that's that was me being confused as usual. So these two pull down resistors are actually right over here on the board. If we have a look, I'll try and show you. So so we've got pins, where are we? Pins 7 and 8 of the MMU. Now on the top side of the board, these traces run across to these two vias here. Here we go, these two here, this one and this one, and then all the way along to these two resistors R1 and R2, which are connected to ground. So let's do some more measurements and see what we can find. So we know we've got a short between here and here. If we put it back into diode mode, there we go, you can actually see the meter now. So we've got a beep there, and on the back of these two resistors, so these are going along here. So these are the two resistors right here and here, and the traces, if we have a look, one trace goes to one resistor and one goes to another. That's how it can be a short. Well, there is, and it's pretty hard to spot. So we ping these two and we measure the resistance again just to be sure. We got 0 ohms across these two resistors. So this is going to be really difficult to show you, and I'm taking a bit of a chance here. I'm going to knock the iron on. If we can actually see this and get it under the camera, see if you can tell me. Is anybody watching? That would be a good idea to find out first. Nia says, but if there is a short there, you should also get a short on the MMU pins. Well, let's check. Nia's correct, and I'm gonna test that as well, just to show you that it is true. So we get a short on pin, because now we're going to think, is it the cartridge connector or is it the MMU socket? But those two pins are so far apart from each other that it's impossible to imagine that there's debris in the connector. So if we measure pins 7 and 8, we get 0 ohms. So there is a short across the pins on the socket. So we're done with the multimeter for the moment. Let's put that out of the way. And let's see if I can show you what I found. If we get really close in. In fact, no, you can. Well, how many people are watching? 3. Well, alright then. Maybe not. I was going to leave it to the viewers to find out, but alright, let's get in as close as we can. So the two... Jesus, this is difficult. Where are we? There we go. Right, so that's one, and that's the other one. And if we tilt the board up a little bit, you can perhaps see, it looks to me, and I don't know how this has happened because I didn't touch that area, it wasn't me. Can you see what the problem is? Why am I moving? Oh, I'm moving the wrong way. Oh. Right, so we get this in the middle of the screen. Christ. Right, there we go. Right dead center of the picture. If we tilt it forward, you can probably see the problem. The tip of the leg touched the thread. That's correct. That actually looks like there's some solder jammed. The solder's jammed under that trace, and it's odd because it looks like the solder mask is missing from the trace as well. So that's really strange because there was no work done on that particular area of the board. As you can see, I've done work over here with this RGB connector, but there's no trace of that. Looks like stock soldering there. So I don't know, I'm starting to wonder if this is actually a factory defect. Nia says it was there from productions day. Well, thank you, Nia, I appreciate it very much. They have got a witness, you see, that this was not done by me. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and get rid of this and see if it works. So the iron is hot. We are ready to go. So let's really get all these difficult machines. If you wonder what happens to all these dead Ataris that can't be fixed, they end up here. I had a couple of one easy fix earlier in the week was two Sakam 800 XLs that were dead, and the first one was 5 volts in on the jack, was actually being shorted direct to ground by presumably conductive flux residue. So I just touched up the connector and that was that. And the other one's got bad RAM, and I don't suppose Jürgen's watching this, but of course as I always shill this device, SysCheck was instrumental in finding the bad RAM on the second Sakam machine. Once I had remembered to plug the 5 volt supply into the correct pin of the joystick port, I won't even go into the amount of time I wasted by plugging it into the wrong pin. But I've replaced all the RAM on that machine that SysCheck said was bad, but it's still red screen. So usually when that happens, it's been on an XE where the Freddy has been bad and it's sort of thrown SysCheck off, where it's thought that all the RAM was good, or rather it keeps identifying RAM that's been replaced as bad, but there's no, well, there is a Freddy on this machine, but it's not broken, it's tested working. So it's a tricky one, that one, and what I'm going to have to do is replace all of the RAM. So let's get rid of this. Which one is it? It's over here, isn't it? So just see, we'll put a bit of flux on the board and see if we can eliminate this by just, in fact we'll just flick that up a little bit. I'm in the way there, aren't I? I'm going to flick this up, lift it with the iron like so, and we'll touch up that other one as well a little bit so they look nice and shiny. Let's see how that looks. Does that look like it's gone? It looks a real mess, that part of the board, actually. I don't know what the hell's gone on with it. It's very strange. But let's test it anyway and see if the short's gone. In fact, we put it into resistance mode because I don't want to take any chances. Alright, so that is now 1.7 kilo ohms. That's more like it. That's good. So that would be the resistance of two 1K resistors together minus hang on. Yeah, I can't describe that, but you know what I mean. Two 1K resistors minus whatever conductivity is at the other end of the circuit. Something like that. Okay, so we'll clean it up a little bit before we test it. We'll clean it up with a bit of acetone. Actually looks a lot better when it's with the flux off the board, but that solder mask is really screwed up. Interesting. Now the owner also reported SIO issues on this board, but I have not been able to reproduce them. But we'll put the case lid back on and see how that goes. So let's put the thing back together and cross our fingers. This is fiddly as hell as well. Just had to cut the corner off the washer so that it didn't block the PBI connector. I'll put this in here like so. Oh, there's a notch in this. There's a notch in here which needs to go around the cable. Christ. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Put you on here. Make sure that this mess of cabling isn't snagged and stuck. Sexy black standoffs. If this doesn't work now, I'm just going to give up, because it's just been a catalogue of miserable failures. Okay, try and route this sensitively. Our cable back. We'll pop that back in there. We'll pop this back in here. There we go. Right, make sure everything's nice and firmly secured. Plug it in. Let's see if it boots first. Well, why do you mock me? There we go. So it boots. It boots. So this is the moment of truth. Oh God, I almost don't want to do this. Huzzah! There we go, it works. Oh, another one fixed. Let's try for good measure this side cartridge. Wow, that brings back memories, doesn't it? That brings back memories. Fixed. Fixed. Good work, says Nia. Thank you very much. It's nice to have a success now and again in this sea of failure. I mean, really, technically this isn't a success because it should have been right the first time, but never mind. So let's put our little cartridge shroud back on. Da, 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 da. I've got to be careful with this one because this is the brushed aluminium I was telling you about last week. I'm actually holding this by the underneath of the keyboard. This is the brushed aluminium. Let's get rid of this. Brushed aluminium restoration work that I was telling you about. It is absolutely superb. Really, really nice. What a beautiful case. This has been carefully restored by Tez. I hope he doesn't mind me disclosing his identity. Tez, the protective film is still on this case badge, by the way, but not on the cartridge doors, which have also been restored. The camera doesn't really show it up very well because it's a bit overexposed, but it is beautiful. It seems that on this computer only 8K cart were working since it left the factory. Yeah, that's a reasonable assumption. No one noticed that before, possibly, but that damage on the trace on the solder mask is strange. But doesn't that look nice? And of course, I'll put this over here on the table, face up, and of course I'm supposed to interview Tez for XL magazine, and Robert asked me about this ages and ages ago, and I completely forgot. And Tez was actually in my sitting room about 3 weeks ago to drop this off. Well, it was about a month ago, probably. No, to pick it up, rather. And I completely forgotten. If I'd only thought ahead to record, with Tez's permission, of course, to record and transcribe the discussion we had, because we talked for about 3 hours or something about all of the stuff he's done. And if I'd only recorded it and transcribed it, then the interview would have been done. But now we've got to start right at the beginning. Hey, well, hey ho. Right, I'm going to test this with the lid on. I hope I'm not doing anything out of turn, because Tez told me to treat this with the utmost care. Now it does catch, definitely does catch hairs. It does catch at this side, but I don't think it's anything particularly unusual. I think it is, as usual, it is this bending this way on. It is terrible. Something is catching on here. This is why I wanted to have the lid, so we could try and figure out what is catching and whether it fits well, etc, etc, etc. So, but yeah, I haven't even touched these console keys, and they have not been on a table, so if there's any marks on them or anything that were there before, just so we know. There we go. If you, when you, swine, that's really uncomfortably, it's an uncomfortable fit. But if you actually push this in with a screwdriver, when you put the lid on, it can actually help it to close like so. But I'm not really happy with the way that's closing down at all. That's that is not a good fit, and I think it's primarily the keyboard, the console key part of the keyboard catching on this part here. So I would actually be inclined to I don't know what. That's really annoying. That needs to be wedged. I wonder if we could wedge it. Train it to go where it's supposed to go. Anyway, perhaps later on. There's not really much I can do about that at the moment. Not much I can do about that at the moment. But we'll have a look. Right. Oops. Switched on. I'm not allowed to put cartridges in with the doors like that. But we're going to test the SIO next. So let's test the SIO. Right. Switch it on and press help. And let's turn that on. Let's turn this on. There we go. So this gives you a high-speed SIO driver, disks and PC link, and a hard disk. Well, we haven't got the hard. Well, we'll test the hard disk actually at some point. Save that. Reboot. Right, go to, it's on drive 1, isn't it? So this is SIO to PC. Firmware flash, well, it appears to work. It's loaded UFlash. This is a divisor 0, so this is as fast as the SIO can possibly go. If there are any problems with I/O on this machine, I'm sure they would show up at divisor 0. We are verified. We're verified ARM developers now. Fully verified. Okay, so let's reboot again. We'll try the hard disk. Crap. Yeah. I'm not allowed to plug cartridges in. I don't know how Tez is going to get cartridges into this machine without actually the cartridges touching the cartridge doors, but fair play to him. I don't know what to do. It's the thing about cartridge doors. Damn cartridges keep touching them. Right, let's try something. That's not going to work. It's difficult to test cartridges when You can't put cartridges in. Yeah. We'll test it with the lid off. Well, I can't test it with the lid off, can I? Because then the keyboard's unplugged. Yeah, that's awkward. Okay, we'll test it like this. Yeah, it works. Everything works. Oh God, I'll turn his this off. So in doing that, the ultimate cart should fire up again. Yep. So it's all ready to use without any messing around. Put that back there. Unplug this. So fixed and perfect, apart from the clearance issue on the keyboard, which really I'd like to try and rectify that, and I think possibly heating up that keyboard connector so it leans a little bit more to the left might actually do the job. So let's put this keyboard back and let's have a look at the next one, if I can find it. Aha, yes, this little fella here. Oh, and I didn't get my flash cartridge out of the box. I don't know where the hell it is. Screws, Tez screws. Ah, thank you. Screws. Great. Is the flash cartridge in here? I thought there was a flash cartridge in here, but oh, there it is. There it is. Excellent. Thank you very much. Crikey, that's well wrapped. Put this back in here where it really sees the light of day, and let's have a look at this. So what we got here is an 800XL, which I think is one of my old conversions from years and years ago. Believe it is. But I know it is. So let's have a look, see what's wrong with this. Does this appears to have could this have a VBXE in it? Could it possibly have a VBXE in it? I can't even remember what it's got in it. But apparently this one's having problems with cartridges as well, so let's see if we can see what's up with this. Looks a little bit like it's been around the block a few times, this one, but let's have a look. How are we doing? 39 minutes, one fixed. How did you manage to cut a straight square window on the 800XL? Immense patience. Just I drew it out and cut it out very roughly with the Dremel. It would look really bad, and then just attacked it with a flat file and just look along. If you look along the edge at a very shallow angle as you're working on it, filing it down till it reaches the straight line that you've drawn, filing it and filing it down. And if you keep looking, sighting along along the line, that's a good way to see if it's straight or not. And it's reasonably straight. That's how I do it anyway. And the holes, of course, are countersunk as well. If we can see that, the sort of countersunk buttonholes. It's very overexposed. This. See if I can fix it. It's very overexposed in a way that I am not on the internet. Drop the exposure. That's too much. How's that? What does that look like? That's a bit better. That looks a bit more reasonable. Okay, so let's see what happens with this thing. Oh, look how nice it lights up. What does this thing have in it? Does it got an ultimate board in it? Oh my god, look at this! Oh! Wow, this is a real trip back into history. Blimey, more setup! More setup! Ah, fantastic. Where's what planet have you been on, man? Do you know what's gone on since this? Do you have a side cartridge, or do you ever use it? I don't know. Right, so that works. Hang on a minute, let's just check something. I need to see this big. It's been so long. So SpartaDOS is disabled. Side hardware is disabled. Oh, that's right. So theoretically, we should get cartridge. And it appears to hang on a cartridge. This is interesting. See if the side cartridge boots up. The side cartridge boots up, but the that's interesting. Side cartridge boots up, but the ultimate cartridge does not. Now this could simply be a bus capacitance issue. It does not necessarily mean that the machine doesn't work with cartridges at all. Interesting. We need more cartridges. More cartridges. Let's get some more. I'll get the one that I just put it back in this box, for example. What else we got? I haven't got many cartridges really. I've got action cartridge somewhere, so that'll probably be worth a try if I can find it. If I can find it. There's a basic cartridge. Yeah, there's a basic cartridge. What the hell? That'll do. And this one I think has got the GOS on it. Let's see if this starts up. Memory test straight away with an Atari Max cartridge. This doesn't seem to be sitting straight. I think there's something wrong with the connector on this particular machine. Self-test. Basic cartridge. So 8K cartridges work. Alright. Let's take this apart and see what's what. Are there anything attached? No. Ah, yes. So I obeyed my golden rule of never, ever, ever, ever gluing or soldering anything to the case. So this is if you want to have this. Christ, how long ago was this? I can't even remember how long ago I made this thing. I did two like this, I think, about 3 or 4 years ago. One of them, I don't know if it was this one. This might actually be one of my old boards because. Oh, look at the. You remember these things? These janky looking pieces of shit that we were being used for. They're just so incredibly unstable. I've actually put hot snot, if you can see it, on the front there to keep the thing from falling out, because they are so unstable, these things. Wow. Original firmware. And now, oh, blimey. Oh, a green VBX. Christ. Wow, that's unbelievable. Unbelievable. This is so long ago. Wow. That's incredible. Alright then, so let's get the board out of the case. Enough nostalgia. Let's just get the board out of the case. Let's see what's what. Is there any screws holding this thing in, or is it just... There we go. What's with these lights? Where do these lights come out? I've got lights there, but where do the lights appear? That's odd. That is really strange. Do the lights come out the back? Oh, the lights. Oh, yeah, the lights just come out the grill at the back. Christ! Wow. Ah, signs of a wasted life. Right, let's have a look. Get this cartridge cover off. Is this an original? Oh no, it's obviously the Atari generation. Right, so let's see if we can see. And I can kind of see something in the cartridge connector, but it's hard to say what. Let's see why things aren't sitting flat. That sort of does sit flat now. Hang on a minute. Is that corrosion or what? Alright, let's measure and see if we get the required signals. RD4 and RD5, probably a good place to look yet again. Not sure where the vias are on that one, but we'll find out. Right, there's RD4 or 5. And is it shorted out? It's not shorted out, so we haven't got that problem again. So we can see if there's continuity to... Oh, crikey. I think these two resistors are directly connected. Yeah, and they are. So, if you can see, these inline current limiting resistors are on RD4 and RD5. Probably got them the wrong way around, but so we've got continuity between the RD4 and RD5 on the Ultimate board with the cartridge connector. So, do we got a short? Well, we haven't got a short there, so what else could be the problem? Could it be the connector itself? Or could it be something else? Could it be the VBXE? Could it be the Ultimate board itself? Well, let's try and swap the Ultimate board and see what that does. Put some power in. Handy having a spare Ultimate board. Very useful. Okay, so if we switch it on, right, and then we'll try this Atari Max cartridge. Make sure I don't short anything out. I'm damn sure I don't short anything out. Hang on. That'll do. It doesn't appear to be the Ultimate board at fault. Ah. Swap the Ultimate and we get a boot. Now, that's interesting. Now, why does the Atari Max cart not boot? And it does. So, okay, so the problem is either with the firmware on the other Ultimate board or with the board itself. I'm doing as William Shatner poses now. It seems to be I don't really did sound like him, but I can do the mannerisms, and since I did that video, that shill advert thing last week, I keep hearing it all the time. Long pauses. You must pause frequently when doing William Shatner. And the more inappropriate the place to pause, the better the impression will be. You should check out Maurice LaMarche. Maurice LaMarche does the best William Shatner. I think he's better than Sidney Pollack. Maurice LaMarche is brilliant. Works now. So I think there was actually some shit in the connector which I dislodged when I tapped the back of the board. Or perhaps not. Come on. It may just be dirt in the connector. I think the connectors just needed cleaning. We'll have to ask the owner if they want the new firmware. I don't mind. I'm not offended if he doesn't. Good God. That seems to have made it worse. I'm tempted to replace this connector. Now it works. I'm going to reflow the back of the connector before we do anything else. Let's connector looks a bit the connector looks a bit excuse me. The connector doesn't look great. It looks like it's already had something done to it before. There are traces of flux around the cartridge connector. You can't see it. But look, ooh, what's all this around the edge of the cartridge connector? What's all this stuff here? Right next to RD4. Ooh, dearie me, we've got some crud around. Is it RD4 or RD5? It'll be on the schematic. It's... oh no, it's not. No, it's not. It's at the other end. But still. Let's give this a bit of a clean up. And the underneath of this antic, oh, this just, oh. What did I use to clean that? Oh, the CPU, the underneath of the CPU socket. Christ. There, we give this board a bit of a clean up. I'll put the iron on and give it some TLC. Your CPU socket a bit of a clean up as well, because that is really gross. I don't even know what half these wires are for. Where are these wires going? What's this wire for? Wires from the CPU. Oh, these are... what the... what? This is crazy. Oh, I've got you. I've picked up all the signals off the bottom of the board where I would normally find vias on the top of the board now. Just a different way of doing things. Alright. I must have been young and daft in those days. I was young and daft. I used to run wires from bottom of board through holes drilled in PCB. They don't know the door nowadays. There, to warm my flux up. That's just something to do while the iron's getting hot. Oh, 4 viewers. Whoa, yes, come on. Let's monetize this content. Let's get pumped. Right. I'm reflowing my CPU. Do 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 do. I will eventually, if Jürgen, if you're watching, or if you do watch later on, I will get that super CPU board in the 800 this weekend. I might even do it tonight, but I'm not going to put it on the same stream as this stuff. I'll try and have some semblance of sort of subject matter between videos. Why is this CPU socket such a mess? It's not badly soldered, it's just got this weird white crud around it. It must have been the crappy solder I was using. Well, it's got some flux on it now, so it's going to be better. I need new tips. My tips are very worn out nowadays. It happens when you get past 40. Your tips start to get blunt. They become blunted. They don't last as long. You have to put more energy into your tip just to make it do what it used to be able to do. So it's time for some new tips. There's so much stuff to buy and so little money to buy it with. So little money. Everything just costs the earth nowadays. Everything's just so expensive nowadays. Everything's just so expensive nowadays. Oh. Maybe I should try some subliminal cuts. I wonder if that'll work. I wonder if they'll work in Poland. Subliminal cuts, I think they're illegal, aren't they? I'm done paying UK prices for sockets and that kind of thing. That shit's all coming from China now. How much I ordered some machine sockets the other day. It was like ridiculously cheap, which I think is a fair price for machine sockets in this day and age. Some people have turned up. My God, did you turn up in time for the website shilling? Atari-ado, am I saying that right? Atari-ado. Greetings from Chile. Well, hello from the UK. Greetings to Chile. Modern Atari 8-bit computer, I'm a very fan of your channel. Nair has a great channel. Nair's channel is much bigger than mine, and Nair's channel gets far more viewers than I do. As Nair puts the effort in to edit his videos and make some sort of cohesive presentation. And I just film any old crap. But Nair is very good. An Atari fan. Hi, Atari fan. Oh, and there's Tez. Oh, crikey. Tez is here. I'm going to have to be careful. I'll have to move his computer off the floor. Damn. No, your computer's not on the floor. Where is it? Where is it? Oh yeah, it's down there on the shelf. How are you doing, Tez? Oh, yeah, well, Tez is 30 minutes behind the stream, so we'll let him catch up. and Tez can tell me whether he wants me to fix that bloody keyboard connector that is at a ridiculous angle and is stopping the machine from closing properly. That's why I wanted the lid. We can sort that kind of thing out. That looks much nicer. This acetone, I don't know if it's an extra strong blend, but I noticed it takes the colour off PCBs, which is really alarming. But it's about the only thing that properly gets rid of the flux. I mean, even if I leave some flux on this board, it's not conductive, and it actually looks a damn sight better than it did with all that white crap on it. So, that looks pretty nice. The cartridge connector looks much nicer on the bottom now. If we can get it into focus. There we go. See how nice flux makes everything. It's really great stuff. Really great stuff. Let's test it again, make sure it still works. If it works, we're done. I would like to get into that cartridge connector. I don't want to replace it because it's a big job. I really don't want to replace it unless it's strictly necessary. Let's get rid of these cotton buds, Q-tips as you call them in America. Right. Yay! Wow, what an amazing GUI experience. Amazing GUI experience. If you're interested in GUIs, you can. I wonder if I can make that flash automatically. If you're interested in GUIs, you can find all this and more at atari8.co.uk. Do you need a website? If you need a website, go to atari8.co.uk, because it is a website and you can look at it and you can read all about the incredible GUI project, which is happening in real time over a period of a decade. You can read all about that. Read all about this incredible project. Let's try this cartridge. Come on. Things seem to be working a lot better now. I think we can safely say that the problem with this machine was the crap on the back side of the cartridge connector that has been dissolved by the flux and the reflow, and everything now works perfectly. So there we go. Another fix. Yes. Oh, my look has changed. It's gone from appallingly bad to simply mediocre. No, this board wasn't even screwed into the case, was it? So I'm just going to pop it back in. Pop it back in here. There we go. You've got to get some screws on this board. Oh well, bye bye little machine. I think this board I'd kind of, well, donated isn't the right word for it. I substituted one of my boards for the original board in this machine, if I'm thinking the right one, because there was a short on the stereo board, and I blamed the original motherboard for the problem of the thing freezing. It was a dry joint on the stereo board, and I blamed the original motherboard and actually moved everything from this machine onto this board, which was mine, and it still wouldn't work until I figured out that there was a problem with the stereo board. That was about 4 or 5 years ago. Ah, these shitty connectors. It's not curled under itself. It's not going to go in. The edge connectors are just junk. I think we better test the keyboard now. Plug it in first. Yeah, keyboard works. Yeah, fixed. Oh, so nice to have some easy fixes. Well, I mean, they're not that easy. They're obviously, you know, very expensive, but very expensive, time consuming. I mean, wow, these have taken all of 30 minutes each. I'm going to install that OS in my Ultimate. Which Atari I do? You mean the BIOS? John, I repaired that 800XL keyboard that was smashed in half. Oh, brilliant. Well done, Tez. Tez has the patience of Job. Tez will go to places that other people will not go. Okay, and that's that one done. Next, I'm still looking at that 65XE board. I haven't given up on it. This one is such a beautiful case. Look at it. And this one was dead, and I've replaced almost everything on the board. There's no RAM on it because I'm running it off SysCheck, but it still won't start. And it's got me absolutely foxed. Well, I know something. I kind of got all this crap on the screen, so I've got SysCheck attached, running an external operating system, and I switch the thing on and I get all this junk on the screen, like as if Antic was bad or something, but it's not. Freddy's fine, MMU's been swapped, OS ROM's off the board, all the RAM's off the board, basics off the board, 74 LSO8's been replaced, Pokey's been pulled off the board, PI's been socketed, everything else has been socketed, oscillator's been replaced, all the it was originally a crystal. I've replaced it with an oscillator that's got everything built in, and it still doesn't work, which is a shame because it's a really beautiful looking machine. Now, tell me, there's with the Shatner pose again. Tell me, is it in Chile? Was it Chile where they had a tremendous stockpile of Atari machines, especially 800XLs, and they cropped up on eBay a while ago, quite a lot of them? new in the box and people were buying them up? Was it Chile where you had all those machines? I can't remember, but I seem to remember it was Chile. Here in Chile, Atari is very popular. I have a little channel of Atari and games. Oh, I'll have to look that up. I'm going to look that up now. What's your channel name? Is it Atari Do? Well, I'm assuming it must be, of course. That was a bit of a stupid question. Let's have a look. Atari Do. Atari Do. Is it Atari Do or Atari Do? 67 videos. Okay, I'm going to subscribe to your channel because I think you deserve it. And I'm going to have a little look at your videos later on when I get time. I may not understand what you're talking about, but I'll have a look. Okay, so I think, does anyone want to have a look at a SICAM, oh, shit, just stabbed myself in the hands, ow. I'll show you this because you might not get to see one again. I'll put these away, I'll tidy up as I go. I'm in a surprisingly good mood today, which is incredible because I have problems coming out of my house, but feeling good. Must be the sunshine. Right, I'm going to show you briefly. This was the one that had the conductive flux on the power jack. So when I just took the soldering iron over it, on the switch, sorry. I took the soldering iron over it, it worked. So yeah, I'm not a particularly lucrative repair. If we switch this on, and of course I can't capture this display. Can I? It's on SCART 2. Let's have a look. And it's gone black and white again. Oh no. There we go. This is... when are we going to be able to see this? You're not, are you? No, you're not going to be able to see that unless I move the camera. I'll move the camera. This is SCART Peritel output. So it's not actually that bad. I don't know if you can see this. I can't see what you see because I've got the camera off the mount. But that's a SICAM Rose 800XL, one of which I've fixed. The other one still has bad RAM. I don't want you to see the bags of crap at the back. Really. So SICAM Rose, yeah, and it's got a Freddy chip. So is that an 800XLF essentially? Same sort of idea. 800XL SICAM Rose. So there you go. I'll catch up on the chat. And then I will finish off and plan the next thing. I'm going to put that upside down on there for a minute. Right. Whoa, it's going by too quick. Only Atari man's here. One girl too. Atari fan, are you female? Wow. I hope you're not. Yeah, I hope you don't mind language. That's much better. Here in Chile is very popular, and I have, yeah, so we've got the channel. Oh, Venezuela, that was it. Yes, near Venezuela. Venezuela had a tremendous stock of Atari stuff. I buy some new joysticks of Venezuela, but I don't know if Venezuela have a lot of Atari 800XL machines. Here in Chile, we have a lot. I have 4 800XLs, 2 600XL, and I have given many. You've been given many. That's good. I've got another 1200XL coming. I'm not going to tell you who's sending it, because he might not want to publicize it, but it's in good condition. I skipped ahead with the stream a little. Yes, it would be nice to sort the keyboard connector so the lid closes nicely. Yeah, mine was pretty similar. You know that I took serious drastic steps with that one and completely replaced the connector. But that was primarily because it broke. But I'll see if I can just... it shouldn't be too difficult. I mean, even if I just had to warm it up from the back, just to get the thing to lean over to the left. If it leans over to the left enough, I think the keyboard will go on fine. So you can buy an 800XL for $16 here. What? What? It's like £40 or 40 or 50 quid for something that doesn't necessarily even work in the UK. Alright. Okay, so that's not a bad result. So, yeah, it was nice to see. Sorry, daughter. Oh, I'm lost. My mother is here. Oh, right. Atari fan's mother. I don't want to assume gender nowadays in today's society. I'm not making any judgments on you, whether you're male or female or anything. I don't want to assume gender. Alright. So, there's a lot still to do. So I'm gonna get out of here, and nice to see some people in the chat. I know this is not a good time for the American audience, but thank you for watching, and I hope you found it interesting. And I'll be back shortly with the Super CPU card. I can't remember where I've put it. The Super CPU card for the 800, and so yes, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. So bye bye.